you, John, for the introduction. And thank you very much to Poetry Cafe for inviting me to read here today. The 3 poems I'm going to be reading out are from my forthcoming collection called Chronicles of Entering My Body, to be published by Hypatia Publications. And it's going to be out in July later this year. So yeah, I'm going to start with the first one, Lessons in Gardening and Animal Husbandry. There's a way to deadheading petunias, or any flower for that matter. You've got to go below the whirl of calyxes, clench the tenderness of the stalk between thumb and forefinger, and snap. You've got to do it with the ease of nomads and how they move as the moon moves to the tides. And you need to keep the patience of a mum putting hers to sleep. You can't just decapitate the petal heads. There's a craft to it. You've got to deceive each plant into flowering to the optimum. You've got to abort the seed even before it begins to gestate. There's a way to producing more every time you milk a cow. The laws of supply and demand apply here, not those of love or mating. It's about science and about breeding. You need to teach your animal the art of abstinence, of not loving or giving in to desire or motherhood, so you may tap to the optimum. You've got to catch her in estrus, or simply induce her into it with a prick and the deafness of God. You've got to hold her down, as do Lox and Weirs, the mutinous waters from the North Sea. Now linger behind her like a bee lingering over nectar, and cajole her with your words into the stillness of a lagoon. And when she caves, begins to trust again, invade her sanctum sanctorum of birthing with your metal rod, and release the secret of life within her. It's easy after that. For when she calves, separate the mother from child and take your infinite pails of milk, even before the first inkling of love can take her. Thank you. And the next one is a poem that I wrote last year around the same time, just before we came into the lockdown. And it's April 2020. The springtime camellia turns a funny taupe before her usual red. Look how she doubles up under the bulk of her blossoms. She knows the secrets of pollen and how her seeds may never birth again because they're conceived in times like ours, when suns won't stop their beating, when rains gouge chasms in all of the land when they come, when the earth reclaims from us and all over again, just as she'd done when she was all we knew or believed in, or when we belonged to her and not the other way around. Look how men won't leave their homes now for fear of dying, and they won't look you in your face, for they dread death floating like pods of oleander from your breath, and how the winds whisper their own patois of toxins, and how the airiest of air ceases to be fresh forever, and how the outside pushes into the inside, and the inside is all there is, and how the inside grows larger and larger, and how it gives now, decompensates, our doctors tell us, and how there's no sound of the giving way or the giving in of what we call life or life's breath and breathlessness, and how it devours us all alike, like the rations we squirrel away day upon day for the fears skulking about out there. And we draw into one another and we draw from one another, and we are bone dry now and we are death dry now. And no one waits for anyone anymore at their doorways. And yes, our children and our grandchildren hide within their bellies vials of venom totted up with their love and their loving. And we don't know yet, nor want to know, that sometimes our earth splits in half and she rises up into the heavens. And sometimes our skies rain back the fish and the frogs, the worms and such, whose skin we've slain every day for days. And finally, this is the Earth Song. You draw me close and drink my nectar. You kiss my blossom flower heads. You enfold my brooks, my purple falls, my lissom snow peaks. You sink into the dark ravines of my olive forests, my swirling seas. You wield your love, your primacy over my flesh, my bones, my blood. I cannot be possessed, you know. I take your infinite seeds into my womb. I sprout your love to life.